Our Region's Business is sponsored by PNC for the achiever in you. Our Region's Business. Innovation, transformation, momentum, improving our communities and driving technologies that will shape our region for generations. The collaboration that brings vitality, prosperity, and life to living. Stay with us for the coming half hour as we examine in depth our region's business. Now, here's your host, Bill Flanagan.
Today on Our Region's Business, we're down on the farm, as in Eden Hall Farm in northern Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. Chatham University has broken ground here on a new campus dedicated to sustainability. But Eden Hall is not the only agricultural action happening in and around Allegheny County these days. Just down the road, there's a new cattle ranch, Northwoods Ranch. And in the city of Pittsburgh, another entrepreneur is raising herbs at Hillcrest Urban Farm. We'll meet them in a few minutes and find out why agriculture is making a comeback of sorts in one of Pennsylvania's most urban counties. But first, the standard Chatham University hopes to set with Eden Hall Farm. Alice Julier is Program Director and Associate Professor of Food Studies at Chatham. And David Hassenzahl is Dean of the School of Sustainability and the Environment at Chatham University. And welcome. Good to see both of you. David, welcome back.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
David, why don't I start with you a little bit about what's going on here, because you've now broken ground on really the development of a unique college campus.
Right. When I first talked to you, we were putting something together, getting something started, and now we have started and we're moving ahead. We have academic programs. We've got students in the programs, which Alice will talk about in a minute. And we have gotten started on this Eden Hall campus. We have broken ground on what we hope one day will be a campus big enough to hold 1,200 residential students. With net zero energy, we hope to produce as much energy as we use, to have no impact on the water, to be regenerative in our landscaping. This first phase that we're putting together now, that we've broken ground for, will include an amphitheater, some teaching space, some research space, some public space, and a lot of infrastructure, because to do sustainability well, you have to start preparing the groundwork very early.
No, really, I'm going to come back and talk to you about that. I think sustainability, you don't need all the pipes, right? It's just all natural,
yep,
but
right.
I imagine a lot of thinking goes into how you do that. But let's talk a little bit about the education that's already happening here, kind of ahead of the construction, and that's the food studies program. What's that all about?
Right. Well, Food Studies is the first program that's come out of the School of Sustainability and the Environment. We now have an additional Master's in Sustainability, but Food Studies has been around for about 3 years here. We're one of a handful of programs like it in the country, and that brings an amalgam of different fields together. So it's got components related to understanding food systems, access to food, the markets and the business aspects of growing, producing, and consuming food, dealing with the waste. We do a lot around communication, right, as food systems, agriculture, even business, thinking about organics or conventional food. How do you then promote that and get consumers to understand that? Process students work on that. We offer courses in sustainable agriculture too, because when they go out and have to understand how farmers have to deal with new conditions, with growing in particular, and with changes in the weather, changes in climate, even just changes in markets. So they take some courses here at the farm. We've got a greenhouse. We have an organic garden that's been around actually from before the program started. We're in the process of putting in an organic orchard. And we do some on the culinary side as well, because we feel like those are skills as well if you're thinking about how to produce food in a kind of a contemporary environment where conditions are changing. You need to know how to think about small-scale production. How is it that we can grow and cook and provide according to the cultural and social needs of different people.
Sure, well, so much interest nowadays, the whole local food movement and everything else. It's going to change the way restaurants operate, farms operate, the distribution systems operate. So what does a student do once they get a degree in food studies?
Well, and just exactly those conditions that you described, Bill, are exactly the ones that we need to train people how to fill, in a sense that as you start to shift a system more towards diversification, more towards businesses that can handle really local production and local growing, then you need to have people who understand you know, how to navigate for the farmer with a business, right? So in other words, if you're growing, you don't have time to produce a website, to market your product, to go around and educate distributors and restaurant chefs how to use those products.
We have about a minute left, but I do have to ask you about all the infrastructure and all the work that's going on here. Clearly, there's a lot involved in building in structures and a campus that are going to be truly sustainable.
Right. Well, Chatham is 140 years old, so we're thinking about the next 140 years as we're designing this campus. And in order to do that, we need to make sure what we're putting in here is sustainable in the long term. So we're doing some really exciting things like putting in an underground energy loop. So a building that produces more energy than it needs can put that heat into this underground loop. For example, a dining hall often has a lot of heat associated with cooking. We can move that to a residence hall and use it to preheat water rather than burning extra fuel in order to do that. We need to have all the water infrastructure in place. If we're going to manage our water on site, we really want to do that well. We want to be a demonstration project for other people who want to do this in the future. So we have to do it right, and we have to put that infrastructure in so that it will work for the long term.
Well, fascinating stuff, learning a lot. I'm sure you're going to be able to teach a lot about how this gets done as all this evolves. David Hassenzahl from the School of Sustainability at Chatham, and Alice Julia from the Program Director of Food Studies. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it. Congratulations. It's all really cool. Yep. Next up, riding the range at the Allegheny Butler County line. We'll meet the head rancher of Northwoods Ranch. Stay with us.